Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome back to tonight's brand spanking new edition of Visibility Made Easy. It's the first one of the week. I hope you had a fantastic weekend, and I hope that you got a bit of time to switch off, chill out, spend time with friends, family, and those that you love. So if you've never seen this before and are wondering what on earth this is all about, my name's Jenny Kovacs. I'm known as the Queen of Being Seen, and I'm all about your visibility, all about helping people to spread their ripples far and wide, their message, maybe their book, their thoughts, their programs, their systems. And just in case you've never seen this before, one thing that you need to know is that although I see a number count going at the top of the page, I can't see you, but you can see me. So if you want to be visible, if you want to say hello, please type in the box below. And already, quick off the block, we've got Ali who's saying, "Evening, Jenny, great Monday. Hope you had a fab day," which I absolutely have. Hope you have too. So if you know of people like yourself and other people that just, in this entrepreneurial journey, it can be quite a lonely thing. If you know of other people that want to do visibility more easily without the nerves, without the headaches, without the embarrassment, the fear, or they're already visible and they want to get out there in an even stronger and better way, then why not share this video with them? Share it to your friends, share it to your peers, share it on your timeline. Let somebody else know that it's okay to be visible, that it's okay to stand out. So far we have the lovely Ali, we have the lovely Ivona that says, "Good evening all. We missed you this morning, Ivona. Hope you've had a fantastic day as well." We've got Alan who's saying, "Hi, Jenny." And we've got other people watching. Now, it's interesting because I have often said that if you're lurking in the background, it's okay. I can't see who you are. I can't see, what you're watching, how you're watching or anything else like this. But the other day, I got a really lovely message from someone who said, "Hey, I'm a lurker. I watch your videos and I learned so much from each and every one of them. And it's okay to lurk in the background. I have no problem with it at all." So Alan's saying, "Hi Ali, hi Ivona, and thank you for those of you who already have been sharing this video. Much appreciated. I know that we all know how it feels to have that encouragement and that support." So Ali's saying, "Hi Ivona, hi Alan." We're all saying congratulations to Alan. He had some very good news over the weekend. I won't do a spoiler alert, but you'll be able to see exactly what happened over the weekend, especially if you're part of the Visibility Vibes Tribe, which is the closed group, which means that you can ask your business questions, give your business advice, ask for help or anything else like that in a group that doesn't have your grandma on Facebook or your relations or the people that you work with saying, "Oh, what's she posting that for?" So if you do want to join, just search the Visibility Vibes Tribe, and if I remember, I'll put the link in afterwards. It's a bit of a mouthful. Facebook.com/groups/be seen, be heard, get visible. And you too can join and share. So Ivona's saying that she's had a really chilled weekend away, back to business now. Oh, that's lovely. I love weekends like that. So I'm going to get into this. So this week's theme, sorry, I'm sitting right against a squeak. This week's theme is one that is dear to my heart, as are all things visibility. But the reason why this is dear to my heart specifically is because there are two distinct underlying behaviours that I see businesses doing, like really talented businesses, people that are just getting started in business who think that they're not a business person yet because they haven't got years under their belt, when in fact they are absolutely amazing. There are two main behaviours that are kind of like shown or demonstrated, and they're very subtle behaviours. So I know that I'm known as the Queen of Being Seen, and I'm a visibility specialist because it's not about the just getting out there and being seen or doing video or whether you speak or anything like that, but it's also about the vibe, like the place that it comes from. Now, you can only get out there in your vibe. You can't get out there in someone else's vibe. You might watch these videos and say, "Oh, I quite like this, so I'm going to do that," or "I don't like this, so I'm going to do something else." The most important thing when you're being visible, especially to the people that are desperately trying to find you, is that you get out there in your vibe. You can aspire to Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, Anita Roderick. You can aspire to some of the greatest minds out there. You can be inspired by lovely Lisa Nichols. You can be inspired by Maya Angelou. But when you go out there in the world, you have to go out there as you. And if you don't, people smell it a mile off. All they know is that something doesn't seem quite right. They don't know what it is, but something doesn't seem quite right. And they kind of like, you know, we'll put out an event. It's a really juicy event. Other people have been and they'll talk about it. Yet these people will be just a bit like, oh, I don't know, I'm going to wait a bit longer and see. You'll go to talk about your products and services and you'll get that slightly, I'll move my fringe so you can see that kind of, see those lines there? You don't want that. Or you'll speak to somebody about your business and they'll say, that's excellent. I'll definitely get in contact with you once I'm ready to do that thing. And then you will become unforgettable. Now, to me, people matter. All people matter. 2017 is a year that I want you to own your voice. I don't care if you're just getting started. I don't care if you've only been in business for a few months. I don't care if you've been in business for years and you're going to the next level. I don't care if you've been trained by Harvard Business School. What I do care about is you getting out there in the world and owning your voice. So there are two things that I see. And I'm going to cover one tonight and then the second part, so part 2 tomorrow. So tonight I'm going to talk about two things. And I'll tell you what tomorrow's is as well, so you've got that. So I'm going to talk about when people become more visible and they start looking for validation, because that's a piece in itself. So I'm going to talk about that now. And then tomorrow night I'm going to talk about when people are looking for permission. So tonight I'm going to talk about validation and tomorrow night I'm going to talk about permission. Hey, it's Misbah. I'm giving you a high five. Hi, Misbah. Waving back. So this is why it's so dear to my heart. Because when we unwittingly go out there, especially while we're navigating this kind of wavy path of the online world, either versus the offline world or trying to meld both of them, quite often, thank you for the love hearts and the thumbs up, everyone. I really love seeing those, so thank you. What happens is that quite often when we're trying to navigate the two, it's like we're trying to feel our way into it, trying to find our way into it. And how on earth do you show who you really are? How do you show a part of who you are when, A, you don't know who you are and you're displaying validation? So, as usual, I've written my pages and pages of notes on one post-it note. So I'm just going to go through some scenarios, like some high-level scenarios that happen when we are inadvertently, because we never do this on purpose, when we're validating ourselves. So here's the 3 kind of highlights, and I'm going to go into detail. You might recognise yourself in one of them, none of them, or all of them, and any of those is great. So one is art skin. It's and you can all laugh at me. I did a testimonial for the lovely Shah Wasman. It's out there publicly now, and she's been playing the videos on her webinars for the Freedom Formula. And she's also that I know that there will likely be Facebook ads and things like this. And I had a real laugh when I was recording the testimonials for her and the team, because ASK is ARKS. But all my life, I'll say ARKS. So if you hear me say ARKS, I actually mean ARKS. It's just something, it's a verbal tick I have. Unless I say it in that silly way and purse my lips, it comes out in a funny way. But you catch my drift. And I was laughing because a lot of her videos for the testimonials have been transcribed. And I warned the team, like, the transcriber will get that wrong. Siri on my phone gets it wrong. Whenever I'm dictating a note or anything, it always puts ARCS. I'm like, no, not that, the other one. You should be used to my voice by now. Anyway, I digress. So 3 parts of validation is who we ask, who we're asking again is the second part, and being swayed. So I'm just going to go through like what that means. Ask, and I should have picked a word that I could pronounce properly and the transcribers can pick up, but here you go. So the first thing is quite often when we unwittingly need validation, and although this is true of visibility, because it's not just the getting out there, as I say, it's the bits underneath, Like, people often go to nerves and things, but it's actually the behaviours underneath, the vibe and place that we come from, that makes the absolute difference. And the first thing that I see people doing inadvertently is they will cling to their nearest and dearest, you know, family, people that they spend the most time with around them, and they'll ask them for their opinion. Now, here's why this is a validation piece. Let's say that you were going to be on the British Bake Off, and I know that there's some people in America that watch this, so just in case you don't know what the Great British Bake Off is, it's a programme where they get lots of members of the public, they audition, and basically a team of experts, you know, bakers and various other TV presenters, will give them a dish to make every week, and they'll have to make it. So Ms. was saying I can't pronounce entrepreneur. I can't even spell it, bless her. There's other words I could bore you with. The word that's innovation with tiv on the end, I can't say that word. My brain fumbles in the middle of it, and I can only say it if I say it really slowly. It happens. I just either choose a different word or hold it up on a piece of paper. So yeah, quite funny, because they're words that we're actually passionate about. But on the Great British Bake Off, the team will say, this week we're going to make hot cross buns, and the people that are playing along on the Great British Bake Off will need to make the hot cross buns, and they'll be tested and everything else. Now imagine this, you're on the Great British Bake Off, so imagine that your business is a hot cross bun. Stay with me, I'm going somewhere with this. Your business is a hot cross bun, you're on the Great British Bake Off, and you need to reproduce the best hot cross bun. So you decide that you're going to go to the shops with your sister, who doesn't bake, you know, can't bake for toffee, and you start saying to her, I need to make these really perfect hot cross buns. What do you reckon I should do? She'll give you all sorts of advice, from look at Google, you know, study, go into the bakers, or she might give you advice that says, you know what, you were never good at baking, I don't think you should do it. Now, the reason that the nearest and dearest give us advice like that is because they're protecting our core. They don't want to see us hurt. Now, obviously, I don't want you to name and shame any members of your friends or families, but, like, do you resonate with this? Have you ever spoken to a close member of a family or friend about something you're doing in your business, and they've gone, do you know what, I really don't think that's a good idea, you know, or am I the only one? If you have, just send some hearts or something across the screen. I like the hearts because they're red and pretty. So, have you ever experienced anything like that? I know that I have. The people around us, they do this because they're protecting us. So here's a couple of ways that we can stop seeking validation. Like, I know that you guys, some of you guys will like show up to virtually every single one of these Facebook Lives that I do. You'll interact in the group, you'll watch back on the replays, you share it. That tells me that you're really passionate about what you do, and you're really serious about making a difference. I know it. It's like I can feel it. I'm like looking at my phone, talking to a screen, but I can actually feel the passion that you have, the desire that you have to get out in the world. And I know that sometimes it's so deep, it's so bad that it almost hurts. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine just recently about that feeling when something's right there, it's right in front of you, you can see it, you can feel it, but you can't tell what it is. I know that for so many of you, you're going through this, and what happens is you get to a piece where somewhere in your psyche you inadvertently need to validate what you're doing, so you'll ask the people around you, which seems a perfectly natural choice. And those people will do what they can to protect you. They don't want to see you hurt. They don't want to see your dreams trashed, because that's what they're thinking. And they're certainly not the people to give you the advice about the thing that you want to know about. So next time you're in the Great British Bake Off and you need expert advice on how to do something, rather than turning to the people closest to you, why not turn to the front? Why not speak to those experts? Why not speak to the other bakers? Because they're in the journey together. They know what it feels like to have the lights and the pressure and the timelines, and the if you don't do it by this time, it's going to go wrong. And if it goes wrong and your friends see it and they can laugh, they understand exactly what that path is, whether they're just getting started, whether they've been doing it for a long time. So here's what you do. Rather than seeking that validation, seek community instead. Go and seek being with like-minded people. Now, I would say if you're into Pareto's law and the 80-20 rule, spend at least 80% of your time with other people that have got similar dreams, desires, ambitions as you. Because when you say to them, do you know what? I'm going for it. I'm going for it like nothing you've ever known before, they'll get it. They'll support you, they'll salute you. When you ask them for help, they'll give help, support. When it's the other way around, you're able to give them help and support because they completely understand where you're going from. I see too many entrepreneurs, too many business owners that have an idea to do something and then they go in the solitary space behind their computer, in their home office, in their bedroom, in a cafe, and they go and work this all by themselves, and they don't take guidance along the way, either from a coach or a mentor or from other people that are on the same path. There are loads of brilliant groups out there, so get involved, get into community. My community is just one of them, but there's so many others. Now, I mentioned the 80-20 rule, so 80% of your time, definitely be in community with other people that you can engage with and you can ask those questions and receive those answers. Now, let's just say that you're watching this and maybe you're not a business owner. Maybe you're happy doing your job at work and you want more visibility at work because you want to be promoted. Look at the things that you're really great at, and with those, identify people in your business that are also great at those things and stick with them. Don't get cliquey, don't get into little silos, but notice that if you're a really great salesperson and they're a really great salesperson, then mix and match with them, share ideas and say, like, how can I make this even better? Don't ever be afraid to say to someone in your business, you know what, my job is now including sales and I'm not so great at it. How can I be better? So really mix with the people that know. Don't do that triangulation bit where you've got a problem up here, whether you've got a business or whether you work, you've got a problem that's at the top here and you can speak to this person here, but instead you speak to someone that has nothing to do with it. You know that? Like you're having a hard day in the office and, you need to actually address it with somebody in the office, but instead of speaking to them, you go and chew your partner's ear off or something like that. This does not move you any further forward. So the other 20% is then to go into communities of people that you think are looking for the thing you do. Here's the rub, guys. If you, like Misbah, are helping people to heal the relationships so they have healthy relationships between mother and children, then go into groups where people may be having these problems. Because the thing is, you can go into the group, you can observe when people are asking questions. It's your area of expertise. You can contribute, you can engage. You don't have to sell anything. Just contribution and engagement alone means so much to people. And if you go into the group and you sit by and you watch and it's not really floating your boat, then you leave it. You go into another. So have 20% of the groups that you're part of in your area of expertise. Nobody likes a show off or a know-it-all, so the vibe that you come from isn't to go in and show off and go, I know everything. It's just to genuinely see how you can help people, how you can support them, but most importantly, what language are they using? What are they saying? What are they doing? How are they feeling? This is like the most important thing that you can do, like serve in your highest. So that's the first thing. The second ask was when people ask a non-specific question. And I think before I go on to the next one, let me just make sure I haven't missed, because I saw a load of comments and love hearts and thank you, just like flying across the screen there. So Ivona saying it makes so much sense, Jenny. Misbah says, I love that. Seek community. Absolutely. Community is everything. As human beings, we're tribe people. We like to be with other people. Even when we are introverted, we still need that time to go and reflect and regroup. But we do like to know that we're surrounded by others. Misbah says, I want to build a sisterhood. There you go. Very clear on what you want. You go for it. Spend that time planning and just like how you're going to do that. And also to be amongst like-minded people. Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, Namisha, she says, hi, Jenny. This is such a fabulous topic. I love this. I do. You can tell because my speech speeds up. So I'll slow down. Let me take a breath. In fact, all of us, that was so exciting and juicy. Like, breathe that in. Just breathe it in and take in that kind of that energetic excitement of being amongst like-minded people. Think of like 3 or 4 groups or 5 if it's not too overwhelming that you can make sure that you're part of and really show up and serve. So Namisha says, I did a fantastic healing course over the weekend where the teacher reminded us that our deepest level we crave is community, and it's actually where we thrive the most. Absolutely. I see this every day in the Vibes tribe group, and also in some other really great Facebook groups around. And it's not in every group, has to be said. So be the person that has that community, be the person that creates that community. So that was the first ask. The second ask is the non-specific. Now, I see this a lot. I know that there's a lot of nerves around putting yourself out there. It's natural, because for many of us, especially like of a certain age, we weren't brought up on this instant thing. You know, the phones that we had were in a phone box somewhere that you had to walk to, or a telephone exchange. For many of us, there's some of you younger ones on there that have never even seen a record. You know what a CD is, but you've never seen or played a record. But there's many of my clients and many of the people that I deal with on a daily basis have been in that phase where they've seen the old way of life and the new way of life, and we're straddling both. So I get that there's fear about putting yourself out there, about standing on a stage and speaking, about doing a Facebook Live, about video. But ultimately, once it's done, those times where the ask is something non-specific usually shows me that there's a validation piece. And the most generic and non-specific question people will ask is, what do you think? Now, here's how I can distinguish the difference. Obviously, I'm very practiced at this. I've been doing this like officially for 7 years, non-officially for a lot longer than that. This is where maybe you record a video and you put it out there, or you go to write a blog post and you post it either in a group or send it to a friend and say, can you take a look at this and tell me what you think? Whenever I hear those words, I'm like, this is a validation piece. Now, if the person is my client, obviously I have their permission to go deeper, because I want to find out what's going on underneath that. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. But one of the things that I notice is people will often say, what do you think? However, here's the difference of how I would show up. If I'm asking you to validate this video, I'll be saying, what do you think? It's like the vibe behind it is this okay? Is this all right? Whereas if I am standing in my strength, standing in my power, I'm going to say to you guys, have a look at this video and tell me whether the lighting was too dark. Tell me whether this bit of hair sticking up all the way through the video was highly distracting for you and you weren't able to engage. Tell me whether you think, honestly, I should wear makeup because my eyes might have looked green and they should look brown, you know. Tell me whether you think it was distracting having Jenny Doll at the background. Those are specifics. That's when I know that someone is asking for specific information. Or have a look at this video and tell me whether you think it will be effective in people clicking for my free gift. Those are very specific questions. They're not validation. They're when people are asking and they're seeking. And the whole point of asking questions is a quest to seek knowledge. And that knowledge is usually for yourself. So when you are asking non-specific, like, what do you think? It's usually a validation piece. So if you find yourself typing that or asking that, stop, breathe and say, what is this about really? It's the question that I ask myself the most. What's this about really? Oh, I'm nervous that I won't be taken seriously because I'm not wearing a suit. Or people say that when you do video, you should have your makeup done perfectly. Or, you know, It brings out whatever's going on and it gives you something to do with that information, because it's taken it out of the shadows and it's put it right in front of you so that you can see what it is. So Namisha says, I actually think having Jenny Doll is awesome branding. It is. I guess there's a point where I need to be careful, because I didn't actually design that Jenny Doll. I've adopted Jenny Doll because of the story. For those of you that are going to Oh What Shall I Share on Saturday, you're going to hear more about that story and why it's so pivotal to visibility. Can't wait. So for those of you that already booked, it's sold out this Saturday, sorry, in London. But I have got another date because this one sold out so quickly. I didn't even have time to send it out to my list. So if you are interested in being visible in your way, not my way, but your way, and help with creating that content that really speaks to your audience, up there's an event. Click on the event, have a look after this and see whether you are willing and are able to get yourself out there to make 2017 the year of your voice. So I wasn't actually going to speak about that, but it makes good sense. So just to say that one's in Birmingham. It's at Birmingham New Street Station. There's a lovely, lovely hotel, which I let people know once they've booked. And the other bonus is, although the course is £75, if you book it before the 6th of March, it's only 49 quid. It's in a really nice place. And I happen to know the first time I did some corporate training and facilitation there, Apple were in the room next door. Me being me, I walked in, was very bolshy, said hello, you know, made myself comfortable, as you do. So the thing that I really want you to get is that when you are asking, be very specific. And if you find yourself saying, is that okay? What do you think? Then ask yourself, like I call it the check yourself before you wreck yourself. Ask yourself, what's happening here? What's going on? What's going on really? And you'll start to get whatever comes up. Write it down. Don't do anything with it. Just noticing it makes the biggest difference. And then because you've got the community of people that you're surrounding yourself with that are really like have got your best interest at heart, then you can join in and say, look, this is what's going on for me. So Misbah says it takes the pressure off from the person being asked also. It does, but for me, it doesn't feel like a pressure. For me, when somebody asks me that question, I just want to get them to the place that they need to be so they're not seeking validation. Because if they're seeking it from me, they're likely seeking it from a lot of other people. So then the last thing is being swayed. And this is another time when I know that that people need validation. Just before I go on to that next point, I'll quickly read the comments flying through. So great advice about being specific with what you'd like feedback on. Absolutely. It shows me where you are in the whole piece as you're assimilating it all. Ruth Ellen says, specific questions are a quest to seek knowledge. Jenny Kovacs, love that. If I was Marie Folio right now, Marie Folio, I would say, hey, that's a tweetable. I'm going to have to cut and paste that and change that. But it's absolutely true. It's a quest to seek knowledge. So thank you for saying that so articulately on there. Being mindful of your being, says Misbah. Absolutely. So here's the last piece. Being swayed by everything and rocked by and rooted by nothing, or rocked by nothing. So what do I mean by that? So when you need validation, imagine that you're like a tree. You're a tree in the ground. And I happen to know this about weeping willows. Don't ask me how I know this. Most trees, you know, the roots go into the ground. Somebody once told me that with weeping willows, they normally grow for about 10 years, and then something happens with the roots, and literally one day you'll come and it'll just fall over. End of the weeping willow. Now, I always remember fondly weeping willows as a young girl. You know, these long trailing branches with these little sort of fluffy, furry buds. I love them, but I didn't realise that this happens to them. They normally have like a shelf life of 10 years. After 10 years, they fall over because their roots aren't in the ground. Now, when we need validation, that's exactly what happens. So we can go into a crowded room, literally a networking event. We can go to an event, you know, a workshop. We can show up in a Facebook group. We can go to a LinkedIn forum or group. We can go to a forum online. And we're like that weeping willow at the end of its kind of, you know, of its cycle, where somebody will say something to us like, oh, Jenny, that Facebook Live you did, you've got to learn how to say the word ask. Maybe you need to go to a speaker coach because like people aren't going to take you seriously. And when that happens, because we haven't validated ourselves first and foremost, it's like somebody pushes you and you just go, and fall over. However, when you have validated yourself first and somebody makes a comment like that, I say, oh well, with love, you know, if it really disturbs you that I'm not articulating or enunciating my words in a way that feels palatable to you, then perhaps you need to go and follow somebody who has perfect pronunciation, perfect articulation, perfect enunciation, you know, because we're clearly not the ones for each other. So when you are being swayed, and I'm trying to read my scratchy writing here, so being swayed by everything means that you're rooted by nothing. Okay, so think of that weeping willow tree. So in conclusion, what I want you to do is I want you to stand in your authority, to stand in your power. Be internally aware of your brilliance. without needing to ask for what we're going to cover tomorrow, permission. So get used to looking at why you're the person to do the thing that you do. What's your story? For some of us, we've been through a really tough path in order to get there. In fact, I feel like I will read a paragraph from this book, which I know is in mirror writing, The Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity by Edwene Gaines. This is like when I do live speaking gigs, or when I have workshops, this is the piece that I will read the most. Here's how you find your brilliance. Here's how you find your brilliance. Oh, hold on a second, I've missed a load of things. Oh my gosh, this happened to me recently on LinkedIn. I updated my profile and someone asked me, have you qualified in NLP? I totally fell over. I've qualified in NLP. There's a few people watching here who's qualified in NLP. I love NLP, but it isn't the be all and end all. There are other modalities out there that are just as helpful. I mistook this question as a judgment. I went onto Google and started searching for NLP courses. That's happened, Miss Booth, they've just caught your willow tree. That's all it is. So think to yourself, I don't have NLP, however, I'm brilliant at this because, and sometimes it sounds really anal, but you need to reinforce it to yourself every day, a few times a day, until you really feel it. Ruth says, yes, I want to be grounded, but I get swayed so easily. I feel like I'm always learning, so humble myself too much, and don't count my own experiences. I have to remember first that their judgment is a reflection of them, not me. Yeah, absolutely. And that's easier said than done. So remind me of that. When we see each other, I can't wait. We'll have a quick chat about that, and I'll tell you some really cool ways of how you can kind of, banish that, because I think it'll be really useful. So here's the thing to remember. Your brilliance is your brilliance. Own it. Like, be internally aware of that. Like, allow yourself to indulge how brilliant you are, and you'll literally feel it somewhere in your body. You'll feel it like an excitement or something like that. Embrace how brilliant you are, because I know that for some of you, you didn't have to go and study NLP. You didn't have to go and train the trainers training. You didn't have to go to a speaking association of any kind and learn how to format your talk. You got the training in some of the most kind of the most eloquent training grounds. So here it is. Edwene Gaines, I know this like page by heart, and I'll probably be able to remember this text by heart. On page 129 of the Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity, she talks about some of the times that you were done wrong, some of the times you were treated cruelly, some of the times you were lied to, some of the times you were stolen from, some of the times you were abandoned, some of the times you were molested, some of the times you were raped, some of the times you were cheated on, some of the times you were battered, and some of the times that you were betrayed. So that's been your learning ground. This is the reason why you're so passionate about doing the thing that you're doing now. And it might not be as glaringly obvious as that to other people. So here's your new story. Try this on. You came onto this planet to be a person of power. Your soul chose this pathway. And because you chose it, you also chose to take an initiation in the misuse of power at a very young age. During this initiation, you learned what it feels like when power is misused, and it's horrible. Therefore, it's now safe for you to be a person of power in the world, to be a woman of power in the world, to be a man of power in the world, because you know you know now that you would never, ever misuse or abuse that power. And in the process, you have gained the most valuable of all spiritual gifts, the understanding heart. Don't get me wrong, I'm NLP trained, but the most spiritual of gifts, the understanding heart, you can't buy that, you can't study for that. So I want to say a massive, great thank you to all for joining tonight, and thank you for all those comments and everything else. Bring a friend, bring your popcorn, bring your dinner, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And I will respond to your comments. I'm about to go and eat soup now and then join a call where I sit with a beautiful circle of ladies for 90 minutes. It feeds my soul, and if I feed my soul, I can feed myself. If I feed myself, I really hope I can feed you. So Ivona saying that was a nice comment from Ruth Ellen. Misbah saying, I'm a damn good person, centered counsellor, and now I'm the most authentic coach, keeping helping women living in their truth. Absolutely. I can feel those words, so needed those today, and loving that circle. Absolutely. It's the most amazing experience, and many people don't get it, but you know, we have to do what we have to do. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you tomorrow, same time. And for those of you in the Visibility Vibes tribe, I will see you at around 1:30 for a bit of lunching and Tuesday talking tipping. There's been some new members join today. We've got some more men in the group, which I love. So do give them a warm welcome. Say hi to them. Thank you so much. Misbah says thank you. Thank you, Ivona. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Misbah. Thank you, France-Lise. Thank you, Namisha. Thank you for those of you lurkers in the background. I see you, and thank you so much for being here. Lots of love to you, and see you tomorrow. Bye for now.